Good morning, everybody. We are excited to have you here for our webinar today. We're going to be talking with Quanta CRM. Now, Quanta CRM serves as Innovia's CRM arm. They're our CRM partner. So if you're looking for CRM, Quanta's the way to go. We're going to be talking today with Eric Anderson, and Eric is the VP for Sales for Quanta CRM. For the last 16 years, he's been helping companies successfully adopt ERP and CRM systems. And for the last few years, he's focused exclusively on Microsoft Dynamics CRM. Now, I know we want to jump right in, just a couple pieces of housekeeping before we get started. First, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into that question box. I'll get them called out and answered for you at the end of the presentation. Also, we always record this and all of our webinars. So if you want to watch this again later, or if you want somebody else in your organization to see it, it's going to be up on our website by the end of the day. And of course, that is innovia.com. So Eric, without further ado, I hand it right over to you.
Thanks, Abby. And before I get started, just want to make sure you can see the first slide. You can hear me okay, and we're good to go.
Absolutely, Eric looks great.
Okay. Super. So we just have a brief slide deck to kind of set the table. What is CRM? Is your organization a good candidate? What's different about the Microsoft product versus other CRM systems? And I do just want to thank Innovia, one of Microsoft's top Dynamics nav partners, and they also work with the Dynamics 365 Financials product. And they have a great reputation in the Microsoft community, so we're really happy to be partnering with them around their customers and their CRM needs. And so we'll kind of hop into this and try to keep this brief so we can get to the presentation. We've been doing CRM for a long time. We have over 300 successful implementations. It's all we do. We basically eat, sleep, and breathe CRM. And we look at CRM as a tool that can be applied to your specific organizational needs so that you can be successful. And to clarify just some terminology here, you'll see at the title, this says 7 reasons for Dynamics 365 CRM. The terminology has changed a little bit. Microsoft rebranded in November of 2016. So we had a product called Dynamics CRM, and then on November 1st, it was called Dynamics 365 for Sales. There's Dynamics 365 for Service, and there's also some other elements like Dynamics 365 Financials, like I mentioned. Innovia handles that product. They have project service automation and field service as well. The point I want to make is it's still the same platform. So I'm going to probably call it Dynamics CRM quite a bit. Just realize that we're talking about Dynamics 365 for sales and service. That's mainly what we're going to focus on. Mostly sales. We'll touch on the customer service a little bit. So this slide is just talking about, why would I need Dynamics CRM? So we've got kind of tried to slim it down to 7 reasons. One is you've got this central database, a nice way to see visibility about your contacts, customers, accounts, and activities. You have the ability to create marketing interactions, so you can have campaigns with different waves. Maybe you start out with an email campaign and then follow up with some phone calls to follow up on those emails. There's a lot of business intelligence. So when I start the presentation, I'm going to start with dashboards and just show kind of how interactive and flexible those dashboards are. But there's also reports, there's Power BI, content packs. There's a lot of business intelligence around this product. The 4th point, facilitate communications. We like to think of this is one of the key advantages in my mind. So we can trigger communications. So Dynamics CRM is a system that can facilitate proactive communications rather than reacting to your customers' needs. And what I mean by that is that we can set up workflow automation. So if something, if we're looking for a specific trigger, and that trigger might be, hey, we haven't talked to this, level A customer in 2 months, we should probably follow up with them and see how they're doing and reach out because they're one of our best customers. So the system could either generate an automated email to that customer with kind of a mail merge template. It could create a task for the salesperson that's the owner on that account. The sky's the limit. Whatever you can think of that has some logic, if A then B, we can create triggers around that. And that's a huge component because we just want to make sure that things aren't slipping through the cracks. So that's one of the things that CRM can do best. Tracking sales opportunities. This is kind of the traditional sales pipeline. This is a lot of companies think of when they're thinking of CRM. What's happening with an opportunity? What's the next step? What's my projected revenue? And it's also a way to just make sure the salespeople are asking the right questions and working through a structured methodology and collecting the information and then recording that into CRM. Analyzing data. Every piece of CRM data can be exposed, viewed in list views on forms, exported to Excel. And again, Power BI can grab the data as well. So there's a lot of different ways to analyze the data. And then customer service, that can mean one of two things. The first is just being proactive, making sure your customers are happy, following up on a regular basis. And we can use just kind of the standard CRM platform with activities and contacts and accounts to handle customer service. If you have a customer service department and you have incidents or tickets or cases, people use different terminology for this type of thing, but there is deeper case tracking and incident management in Dynamics CRM, and I'll kind of point that out and show you how that works. We can have queues so that we have different priority levels for cases. We can have knowledge-based articles, which can help you answer the questions more efficiently and quickly. And so there's some deeper customer service functionality, but for a lot of people that just means, again, kind of those core components of following up with customers and activities. So what is CRM? CRM, the ultimate goal is to make your business more efficient and profitable, and there's a couple of key ways in which it does this. One is visibility. So the ability to see what everybody's working on, find out information about your customers, contacts, opportunities, activities, just that visibility into what's happening with your organization. And then we talk about tracking and measuring activities, and part of this again is that automation. So CRM can streamline and automate operations, and we like to think of CRM as a little personal assistant that's sitting on your shoulder, whispering in your ear, reminding you to do things. If you need to follow up with an opportunity that's been proposed and it's been out there for 48 hours, it can trigger some type of an activity to follow up on that. And there's kind of three main areas in the core CRM. There's finding customers, getting customers, and keeping customers. I'll whip through this fairly briefly, but finding customers is more that marketing automation, right? We want to get leads and be able to reach out to different types of companies, and we can have marketing lists. Those marketing lists can be contacts, accounts, or leads, and so we can create and manage these marketing lists, and then build marketing scripts or different campaigns around or different activities around those marketing campaigns. And then getting customers, that's kind of that sales process. So once we have a lead or an opportunity, we want some type of methodology, some type of structured sales process to help us make sure that we have the highest level of closing that lead and generating revenue. And so that's kind of the getting customers part. Again, that's the sales pipeline. That's the image that a lot of people think of when they think of CRM. And then there's keeping customers. And so that gets into customer service. And again, customer service could be more like just activities and follow-ups, or it could be, customers call in with cases or problems or concerns, and you open up a specific, some type of case or an incident record and track through, have a process that resolves that. Also knowledge-based articles and things like that. And then CRM can do a lot more. So dashboards, we'll start out with the dashboards and talk about those. Outlook integration, there's customer-facing portals or even employee self-service portals that can be set up. A lot of advanced customization. And then under that Dynamics 365 umbrella, like I mentioned, there's project service automation, there's field service. So these are just robust solutions that sit inside of that same database, inside of that same platform that just allow you to do some different types of things. And so a couple of things about Dynamic CRM that's a little bit different from other CRMs. First of all, it's extremely easy to use. We'll touch on that as I give you the presentation and navigate through the software. It's extremely flexible. So there are customers that have, or organizations that have one user on Dynamic CRM. There are organizations that have 10,000 users on Dynamic CRM. And what that tells you is it's simple and it's easy enough to learn for a very small organization with a small sales team, but also that it can grow and it's flexible enough to meet all of your needs. It has an amazing value. So Dynamics CRM offers all the benefits of, something like a Salesforce, which is sometimes 2 or 3 times as much in price for a much lower price. So it has all of the functionality, and Gartner rates this as the top. It's in the top right quadrant. It's in the leader quadrant for CRM. So. And then integration with Microsoft platform. This is huge. If your company's using Outlook or some other Office 365 tools like OneNote or SharePoint or Yammer, Outlook obviously is the biggest one because people like to live in Outlook. And I'll try to show you how you can do a lot of CRM functions from within inside of Outlook. But there's also integration with it with a lot of other areas around Office 365 and the Microsoft platform. Innovia they support nav, and there's an out-of-the-box nav integration with Dynamic CRM. So Microsoft is really committed to having this kind of common data structure and being able to integrate all of their different products together. And so a couple of questions to ask, like, do I need CRM? This might be what you're thinking. So, are you tracking activity of your sales team? Do you have visibility into the status of leads and opportunities? Could you be following a specific process or methodology that takes your field or takes your team from one question or one stage to the next stage, and you have required questions that you need to gather at each stage that would help you to basically win more deals? And do you feel like things are slipping through the cracks? I like to think of CRM, I have an ERP background with inventory, and it's kind of similar to inventory shrinkage. If you don't know what's missing, if you never count or track your inventory, you don't know what's walking away. And it's kind of the same theory with CRM. If we're not tracking activities around these leads and opportunities, how do we know why we won or lost an opportunity? And so CRM really helps you get that information and then be able to report and analyze that data. And then as far as pain points, so these are some common pain points that organizations feel that lead them to look at CRM. Frustrations with processes and efficiency. This second one is a real big one that we get. So for a company that's never used a CRM system, typically what they have is they have salespeople that have their own spreadsheets, they have their own files, they have their Outlook and their emails, but there's no central repository where a manager or an owner could say what's happening with the organization. Maybe the salespeople spend too much time reporting once a month or once a week. They have to create this manual report to submit to the sales manager. Again, you're not sure why you're winning or losing deals. That's painful. So if you don't have that information, how are you going to make sure you win more in the future? A lot of times the company's just growing, and it worked when they had 1 or 2 salespeople. Now they got 5 salespeople, and they really need a system. And then issues with customer service consistency. So again, that comes down to if we have people calling in with incidents or cases, and we need to resolve those efficiently, CRM can help us do that. Okay, I think that's it. So, okay, we're going to jump into the presentation. I'm going to hop out of this this PowerPoint here, and hopefully you guys can see my Dynamics 365 screen here.
Yep, looks great.
So, okay, perfect. Thanks, Abby. So we'll start out with a dashboard, and I'll hit this drop down. You can see there's dozens of system dashboards out of the box. I like to start with this. I have one that's kind of set up for more of a sales executive overview or a sales manager. And the idea is that someone can log in and see just exactly what they want to see in one place. So I'm a sales executive. I log in. I can see all of my open opportunities. And I don't mean my open opportunity. opportunities, I mean all of the open opportunities within the organization are sitting in this pipeline. I can see kind of a, you know, a trending graph on won opportunities, how we've been doing with revenue. I can see active cases if we're using that customer service case management. I can see activities, and I could sort these by, you know, start date, due date, activity type, priority. So if I wanted to, you know, just look at the high priority activities that are out there, and I can see the owner on these activities. So this is a dashboard that's designed to look at everything, right? I'm looking at all of the data. If I'm a salesperson, what I might want to do is I can have a sales activity dashboard that's much more focused on my records and what I need to be working on. And so when this thing pops up, and sorry, having a little bit of lag here. Let's try a different one here. This always happens on GoToMeetings and GoToWebinars. I think it just slows down the internet, but this is not normal performance. Let's see if we can get one of these up here. Sales activity dashboard. Okay, so we're back to the sales exec. Let me just try to pull this up one more time. Yeah, that's kind of normal load time. I'm not sure what happened there, but so this one's designed more towards one specific salesperson. So they're looking at their, you know, my open opportunities, my open leads. Maybe I have some sales goals set up, and I can see, you know, based on my goals versus my actuals, how I'm doing. My open opportunities, again, this is just a different view of this pipeline. Maybe the opportunities that I've won, so I can take a look at the top customers, the ones that are actually, you know, placing orders and generating revenue for us. And then at the bottom here, this is really important. I have my open activities. So, you know, a lot of business, you know, books, what they emphasize is starting the day with a list, and that helps us be more productive and efficient. So if I can come in and see, you know, some nice visuals up here, scroll down and say, okay, well, here's what I need to work on today. You know, I can see the due date, I can see the activity type, I can see what it's regarding, whether that's an account or an opportunity or a customer service type of a thing. Again, these, I can sort all of these. So I could sort these by due date, by priority, look at the high priority. Anything that's blue is a hyperlink. So if I wanted to hop into this record, so say I have a task and, you know, I'm supposed to maybe reach out to Phil at Alpine Ski House, I can just click on that and it opens up the account for me. So again, nice place to start, but the idea is that you can kind of drill down and it's very interactive. And so if we go back to the executive dashboard, I just want to point out one more thing about kind of the interactiveness of this. So let's say I'm looking at these open opportunities as a sales manager, and I want to get a better idea of what's going on with my sales pipeline. So I'm going to pop this out. And what I'm going to do is, so over here on the right, I have my sales pipeline in more of a visual format. Then I actually have the opportunities that are making up this pipeline on the left. I can click on any of these stages. So you can see I've qualified, developed, propose. If I want to drill a little bit deeper into the develop stage, I can just click on that. It drills down, it automatically filters the opportunities on the left for me. And then again, I can click on any of these. I could get into the opportunity, I could go to the customer, get into specific records. What's nice is I can go another step deeper. So if I wanted to drop in here and say, well, let's look at the estimated close date of these opportunities, I can grab that field, click OK. Now I've got another bar chart that's showing me, here's the opportunities that are in the develop stage. You know, this some are supposed to close in May, June, July. Again, I can highlight you know, any of these months, and it filters the opportunities on the left. And at the end of the day, what I can do is just double click and open up that opportunity and take a deeper look at that. So again, dashboard's a great way to kind of get a high level visual and then drill deeper into specific records and into the details of what's happening. I just want to talk a little bit about navigation. So Up at the top here, I have sales. If I'm using customer service, this would be, where I would have cases and, knowledge base articles and queues and things like that. Marketing, I have marketing lists, campaigns, quick campaigns, settings. This is kind of more for the administrator person. But the idea is that we just have these tiles and it's very easy to get to things. It's typically 1 or 2 clicks. So if I'm here and I go into sales and I want to look at accounts, I just go to accounts and it takes me right there. If I'm up here and I want to go to service and cases, just 2 clicks and I'm over on cases. So very easy to move around the system. It's very intuitive as well. We also have a global search here. So this is nice. I can type in something like Alpine and hit enter, and it's going to search across the record types that I want, and I can configure this. I can say these are the types of records I want to search with this global search, but in this case it's looking at accounts and contacts, opportunities, activities, and it's bringing me back all the records that match this Alpine search. And so from here I could just click and it opens up the Alpine ski house account. If I don't know the beginning of it, I can always use a wildcard, so I could do something like asterisk ski, and I get pretty much the same results. It's pulling up the account Alpine Ski House. Here's some contacts, here's some opportunities. Another nice thing as far as navigation is concerned is recently viewed items. So I really like this. You can just go up here and say, I know I was working on an opportunity or I was doing some work in an account a couple of hours ago, and rather than search for it, I'm just going to click on this recently viewed and I'll drop right back into that particular record. So it shows me, you can see it shows me the recent records, it shows me the recent views. So these are the list views that we'll talk a little bit more about, but you can easily get back into records you've been in. There's also a quick add up here. So we'll actually use this quick add when we add a lead, but it's just it's not the full form. So like this is our full account form. If I go to a quick add account, it's just a way to get the bare minimum information so I can create the record very quickly. You can decide which of these fields are required and just gather the information you need and hit save. So it's just a quick way to get the data in. So let me talk a little bit about this account right now. So I'm on Alpine Ski House. This is one of our accounts. These forms are laid out very similarly. So the idea is like once I understand how this account form works, I'm going to be able to go to my contact form and it's going to be very similar. I can see I have contact information here. I have activities in the middle. I have related, records, related cases, related opportunities. And so once I understand how these forms or these screens work, it's pretty easy to navigate to different entities, and again, they're laid out pretty similarly. So with the account form, I have my account information here. I have these activities in the middle. These are phone calls, tasks, emails, appointments, and I can filter these. So if I wanted to look at these in ascending or descending order, I can do that. But I can also filter by activity type. So if I just wanted to look at tasks, I could deselect all entities and just look at my tasks or tasks and phone calls, or I could go back to all entities. Now, if I have hundreds of activities around this account, I could always pop this out into a separate list view. So if I hit this here, it takes me over to a list view with all of these activities, and again, I can sort, I can filter, I can do all sorts of things from this view. But I'm going to go back to that account record here and just talk about a few things. So if I just want to quickly add a phone call, click on add phone call, type in some text around this. Do I want to have a due date, or am I just completing it right now? Did I leave a voicemail? Was it ingoing or outgoing? Really just type in a little bit of text and hit OK, and that's typically how we would record a phone call. It's that simple. Same thing with a task. What's the subject? Do I want to give it a due date? What's the priority level? And then click on OK, and I've created a task. Now, remember, there's very tight integration with Outlook. So the way some customers will work, the way I work with CRM is I do phone calls and I record a lot of phone calls in CRM. I actually create a lot of tasks from within CRM because I'll be looking at a record and I'll say, I want to follow up with them next week. So I'll go add a task and set the due date to next week. And the beauty of this is that on that day, say I schedule a task for next Monday 5:22 at 8 a.m., that task is going to pop up in Outlook. So I open up Outlook, I see that task, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to follow up with Paul. So that's great. I can create it here. It's going to show up in Outlook. You know, it's going to pop up in Outlook on the 22nd at 8 a.m. Appointments and emails, I do most of those inside of Outlook. And so let me talk just real briefly about email integration. So this is just a standard Outlook email, and I've got this email address, quantacrm@gmail.com, and you'll see this little Dynamics 365 sidebar here. So if I click on this, basically the system's going out and it's saying, okay, I'm looking for this email, quantacrm@gmail.com, and here's what we're finding. We're finding that that is a contact, and that contact is tied to this account. And that contact is also the primary contact on this opportunity. And so from here, it's up to me to decide what I want to do with this email. If I'm just following up on the opportunity, I can write some text here and I could tag it to the opportunity. So I just set this, you'll see once I've set it, it's green. It's regarding the opportunity. So that's one option. Now I can also add from Outlook tasks, appointments, phone calls. So I could open up that same type of phone call entry that we were just looking at from Outlook, record a phone call here in Outlook, that's going to sync back to the activities in CRM. So that's really nice. Same thing with a task or an appointment. Other things I can do from here. So there are email templates inside of CRM. And let me just show you what I'm talking about here. So if I come into settings and templates, I'm in CRM now and I go to email templates, I can see one called Contact Reconnect, and it's a contact template. And basically this email template is just, you know, it's kind of your standard mail merge into an email. Dear so-and-so, pull that from, you know, pull this from the contact record. We haven't heard from you in a while. We've asked so-and-so, which is the contact owner or the salesperson that's tied to this account, to contact you in the next few weeks. So that's, we can set these up in CRM, but then the beauty is that if I'm in an email, I can come over here to templates and I can see, so I've set it to the opportunity. So I'm going to switch it to contact. I'm going to say template regarding contact, and I can see that contact reconnect template right here. So if I highlight this and say add to email, you're going to see, dear Quanta CRM test, we haven't heard from you in a while, wanted to check in. We've asked Eric Anderson, who's the salesperson or the owner of the record, to contact you. So I can pull these templates from CRM into Outlook, which is nice. I can also pull in sales literature. So say, you know, attached, whoops, let me go down here. We'll just say attached is our latest product list. I can come into sales literature. Also, this is going back to CRM and looking for different literature that I might have stored in CRM, and I can say grab product sheet A, add to email. And so that's just going to throw it on as an attachment to this email. If I'm working on customer support, let me just delete this whole thing. Say I'm working on a case, and I'll just put in case resolution. So another thing I can do is I can pull in Knowledgebase articles into this. So if I go to a Knowledgebase article here, again, this is all pulling from CRM. I can drop in here and say, oh, there's a Knowledgebase article on how to fix a dot matrix printer. And I'll highlight that, add it to the email. I don't know if some of you have exposure to dot matrix printers, but they're kind of a nightmare. So here's the fix. We destroy the printer. It has a nice graphic. You know, we've got a baseball bat and we can kick the printer. So there's all, but the idea is that we can just insert a Knowledgebase article that quickly to an email. And just to try to show you all of the different things that you can do from Outlook. So if I was on an appointment, I could tag that appointment to a particular record, whether that's an opportunity or a contact or an account. Some companies prefer to have more of an automated syncing to CRM. So the way you can set up this Outlook integration is you could say, if the email exists in CRM, then tag this email to that contact. And so you could just automatically have these emails streaming into CRM as activities and being tagged to the contacts. Now there's pros and cons against that. Sometimes we've had customers do that and they end up with, tens of thousands of emails in CRM that they don't really want there. So it's worth a discussion to decide whether that's the best way to go. But hopefully that gives you an idea of what we can do with email. Sorry, I had this shut down earlier, but let me pull this back up. Okay. So other things from the account. So I'm going to go right back here to Alpine Ski House. We talked about activities, emails. If you have Office 365 and if you use SharePoint in any way, there's a great integration with SharePoint. So up here next to the account, I can drop in here and go to Documents. And under my Documents, I have, this is really, all of this stuff is, it's viewable from CRM. I can open it up, I can check it out, I can work with all of these files, but they're sitting in SharePoint. And the advantage of that is that with online CRM databases, whether it's Salesforce or Dynamics CRM, they give you a limited amount of space, of database space to work with. So if I'm having a lot of documents and attachments, the idea is that if I can throw them somewhere else, like SharePoint, where maybe I have a terabyte of data open to me, that's great. I can still access them and view them from CRM, but they're actually sitting in SharePoint. And so if I actually wanted to go to the location, I can go down a step further, and you'll see it just popped open this window up here, and it's taking me out to SharePoint. And so all these documents are really sitting in SharePoint. I could look at a particular file and look at version history. So SharePoint also has a few more bells and whistles as far as document management. So that's another nice thing. If you have an Office 365 account, most of those come with SharePoint. So it's very simple to turn on this dynamic CRM integration with SharePoint. It literally takes about 5 minutes and then it's up and going. So here's my version history for that. If I wanted to pull up an older version, I could do that. So just showing you some of the other integration there. Okay, let's talk a little bit. I think that covers it for the account. What we have also on the right-hand side on the account is we have kind of associated grids. So here's active contacts that are tied to this account. If I scroll down, I can see recent opportunities for this account. Scroll down to active cases and see the active cases. So the idea is we go to this one page and we should be able to see everything we need to about the account. And again, if I want to open up one of these, just click on it and it opens up the opportunity. Let's talk quickly about just kind of the opportunity process flow. So I'm going to go up to my quick add and I'm going to add a lead here. And for the topic, I'm just going to type in, let's see, Joe S. You know what? Before I do this, I want to talk about one more thing. So Inside View, we have this thing called Insights down here. Inside View is a great add-on that Microsoft, you used to have to pay extra for it, and then Microsoft just bundled it into the licensing. So what we can do with Inside View is, if I go to Snowbird, Snowbird is an account, it's a great ski resort. And if I open this up, you're going to notice over on the right side, there's some insights. And so this is basically just giving me up-to-date news about this company. A skier died at Snowbird from an unknown cause, a fresh start. So I can just see that, the most updated news, leadership changes. I can also open up insights. And then this shows me a whole bunch of additional information. So say I'm interested in learning a little bit more about the industry that Snowbird's in. I can go to research. I can do a little research about leisure, sports, and recreation. Try to educate myself before I call into this contact, so I have some talking points. I can go to find contacts, and you can see it's looking out at different contacts that are at Snowbird, and we can see their titles. If I wanted to add one of these as a contact, I can highlight it and go click over here and say, let's add to CRM. So there's a bunch of different things we can do with this insights thing, but the idea is just to make it easier for your salespeople to talk to these accounts and contacts, because we have a little bit of insight into their company, into their industry, those types of things. So I'll kind of show you how that gets set up as we go through a lead to opportunity process. So I'm going to go up here to my quick add, and I'm going to add a lead. And we'll start with, I'm just going to put in Joe S. At Microsoft. Now, you can see the only required fields on this lead are the topic and the last name. And these, the pluses are basically saying it's recommended. We'd love it if you could get the first name too and the company name. So again, you can design this however you want. If you want to have purchase time frame as a required field, we could make it a required field. I'm going to skip over some of these and we're just going to put in Joe S, last name, and job title, and then the company here I'm going to put Microsoft. And then hopefully I have a phone number or some way to reach out to this person, and we'll save it. And when I save it with this quick add, I can open up the full record or I can create another quick add. So in this case, I'm just going to open up the full lead record. So I have this lead, Joe S, MS for Microsoft. I have the topic, the name. There's a bunch of things I can do now on this lead form, just like with our accounts and activities. Accounts and opportunities. I have an activity pane in the middle where I can record phone calls, tasks, emails, appointments that are all related to this lead. The company's down here because I entered that in. The name is here. So I can kind of work on this lead and try to qualify it. I'm not going to do a lot right now. I'm just going to say, let's assume that this turns into an opportunity. We want to qualify this lead. There's some interest, and we want to create an opportunity out of it. So at this point, I'm going to click on qualify, and three things will happen. One, it will create an opportunity from the lead. It will create a contact from this name, and it will create an account from this company information. So it's going to create. So we'll go ahead and qualify this. You can see it's doing a few things here. So now I don't see lead up here anymore. I see opportunity. Down here I see a contact, but it's in blue, which means it's a hyperlink and it's a true contact. And then I have an account that says Microsoft. So just to show you kind of what we can do with insights, this inside view thing. So if I click on the account Microsoft, over here it's coming up and it's trying to find a match, and it says, okay, Microsoft Corporation. And I'm going to say incorrect company and search for others. So if it wasn't finding the right company, I could scroll through a list of other possible matches. But in this case, it actually is finding the right company. And so what we're going to do is cancel that, let it load again, and I'll say, okay, that's Microsoft Corporation, that's right. So at this point, rather than me collecting the address and spending a bunch of time entering all this information, I can sync it. So I'll just update the account information. It goes out, it grabs a bunch of different type of information about this account, and I can pick and choose, which of these I want to pull forward into my CRM database. But let's just assume I like all of this information and I want to update the account. This kind of shows us the sources. Where is it getting this information? Routers, inside view, user generated, Equifax. So it's pulls from a lot of different sources. Okay, so I've told it to grab all that information and update my account. Give it a second. Now it's all updated. Phone, website, ticker symbol, address, all of that type of stuff. So that's kind of cool. And then I can also see that opportunity down here attached to Microsoft. And so again, these opportunities, so there's a couple things on this form I just want to point out, and this is standard across the different types of forms or the business process flows. So everything below this gray line is a form. This is the opportunity form where I have fields, activities, and if I wanted to modify this, let's say I don't care about the purchase process, for instance, I can just click on form, assuming I have system customizer rights, open up the form in a designer, and this is kind of what you see is what you get a WYSIWYG designer, so it's pretty easy to figure out how this works. But there's my purchase process. So I can just highlight any of these fields. If I don't like them, I can remove them. If there's other fields over here in the Field Explorer, I can drag down, drop fields into the form. you know, add subgrids or remove subgrids of data that are related data. And at the end of that, I would save it and I would publish it. So that's how easy it is to modify these forms. What's above the gray line is called a business process flow. So this is where I have stages, and this is really that sales methodology and that structure to try to make sure that we're collecting the right information during the right stage to help us close the deal. So you can see a qualify, you know, sorry, I wanted to go back to the opportunity. So at develop, I have customer need, propose solution. At propose, I have identify sales team, develop proposal. At close, you know, complete final proposal. So I have different fields tied to different stages. If I go up to the process here, again, if I'm system customizer, we don't want every user doing this, but I can open up that process, go to edit process, and I can see this in a nice, it's kind of a Visio type of a layout. But here's my lead, qualify, here's the different fields on the qualify stage, here's the fields on the develop stage. I can scroll to the right and see propose, and if I wanted to remove one of these, I can just highlight the field, delete it, takes it off of that particular stage. If I wanted to insert another field, add step, and I can decide where I want to add that step, and then I can give it a name, decide which field it is. If I wanted to change the stages around or change the wording of the stages, so if I want to change this from develop to something else, I can easily do that. If I want to add an additional stage in between one of these, just say add stage, and now I've got a new stage here that I can work on. So very flexible, very intuitive, and the idea is that you can design these business process flows to really fit your organization and your team's needs. Okay, really quickly, I want to talk about customer service. So this is a, let me go back into this, see if this will pull up, and if that won't, I'll pull up the mobile app. So the way, one of Microsoft's vision is to be device agnostic. So they basically want you to be able to pull up dynamic CRM on any device, whether that's an iPhone, an iPad, an Android phone, an Android tablet, or a Microsoft device. And so this is actually the app. I have a touch screen over here. We'll just maximize this. You can see I'm starting out with a dashboard. I can scroll up and down using my finger and my touch screen. So if I wanted to, for instance, drill into the sales pipeline like I did earlier from the web version, I can just click on that. It gives me the sales pipeline, the activities on the right. Again, I can kind of filter based on stage, and then I could open up a specific opportunity here and see what's going on with that. So on a phone, the difference would be you'd have kind of one pane at a time versus the ability to scroll and see multiple sections. So you would, on a phone, you might have summary, you'd swipe to the left, then you'd have your stages and you could develop. So I'm inside an opportunity. If I wanted to go to the next stage, I can click on next stage. If I wanted to go back a stage and collect some more information, I could do something like that and kind of work through these different stages. If I wanted to call Joe Johnson, assuming I have his phone number, I could just click on call. And let me go back to accounts here. So here's an account list. Let's say I'm out and about and I'm on the road, I'm on my phone or my tablet, and I want to call this account because I'm in the area. I can just click on that main phone number, and it's going to say, hey, do you want to create a phone call and switch apps to your phone app? And I'm on a laptop, so I'm going to say no here. I don't want it to open up Skype, but you could just call out using your phone app, and then you're already in the phone call activity, so you just create or record this information after the call or during the call, and then save it down here. So just a lot of things you can do from the mobile apps. You can do just about everything you can do from within the web version. If you can't, there's always the ability to open up the full web version. So down here, there's a, let me go back to home here. let's say we're in some accounts, or I'm in an account. And down at the bottom, I can pin any of these records to my home bar. I can go into more, and there's other things I can do, go into processes or Word templates. I can add a new account from here. I can change list view. So if I'm looking at contacts, for instance, and I want to, currently I'm looking at my active contacts, I can come down here and say, let me select a different view, and let's look at all active contacts. And so I just switch from my active contacts to all active contacts. So quite a bit of functionality from these mobile apps, and it just continues to get better. Microsoft, since it's over the last couple years, these mobile apps have they get better and better. Every 3 to 4 months they release a new version. Let me go back to this here. Okay, so this is the new interactive service hub. So this is kind of the customer service stuff. So if I'm doing cases, I have a nice dashboard here that can show me cases by priority, cases by incident type. Again, if I click on one of these, so if I want to look at high priority, click on that, it filters over here. If I want to, let me zoom out just a little bit here so I can see everything. Okay, so it tells me what it's filtering on up here. So if I wanted to remove that filter, I could just take that off. If I wanted to look at maintenance cases, click on that. There's 4 over here. I also have, again, this new interactive service hub is much more kind of an app look and feel, and that's the direction that Microsoft is going with redesigning this, which is kind of nice. So a lot of information over here. I can scroll into my activities, my tasks, and see a ton of information on the right here. If I get to the point where I want to actually look at one of these cases that I'm filtering, I can open up that case. And again, similar to the opportunity business process flow, I have these different stages: identify, research, resolve. I can move forward and backward. I have this, they call it a timeline instead of the activity pane in the middle, but it's the same thing. I have my activities, whether those are phone calls or appointments, or whatever activity it is. I have this summary information over here, which you can see looks a lot like the app that I just pulled up. And then I have different things I can do over here related to the case. So if I have Knowledgebase articles and I want to attach a Knowledgebase article, damaged or defective products, to this particular case, I can do that. I can link it to the case, or I could link it and email the Knowledgebase content in one step from here. So a lot of things we can do here. We can create child cases, resolve the case, add to a queue, route. So there's just, it's a pretty robust customer service and case management system. I think at this point, where we have about 12 minutes left, why don't we take a few questions? So I just want to make sure we have time to answer some questions, and I've covered most of what I wanted to focus on. So do we have any questions, Abby or Brian?
We do have a few questions, Eric. Here's our first one. Are there different license types for Dynamics 365 sales and service, and what can you do with each license type?
Okay, yeah, so with the change in November, we have this new Dynamics 365 model, and there's kind of an SMB offering, and then there's the full enterprise offering. So I'll start out and I'll say there's full user licenses, and then there's team member licenses. The team member licenses they're going to be able to work with accounts and contacts and activities and do all that. They can also view anything, so they can view any record type. But what they can't do is they can't work on opportunities. They can't work on cases. So some of those areas where you have those business process flows, like opportunities and cases, those are designed for the full user licenses. So in the SMB range, you kind of have a full user sales license. You have a full user sales and service license. So if you do need cases, they would need a different type of license. And then you have a team member license. It's a very inexpensive $5 per user per month license that allows you to, again, do things like accounts, contacts, activities. So the SMB pricing is great. The limitation is that you can only have 50 full users. You can have up to 150 team member licenses, so that light license, but the restriction right now with the SMB licensing is 50 full users. Then you get into enterprise, and there's a lot of different options there. There's plan 1, which includes field service and PSA. There's an enterprise sales license and enterprise service license. So there are definitely a few options. But again, if you're kind of under that 50 full user mark, this SMB pricing right now is pretty great. So yeah, if you have more questions about that, just let us know and we can get into the specifics and the pricing.
Okay, our next question, can you show me how I would modify a list view?
Oh yeah, okay. So if I go to like an account list, so we have list views everywhere, right? Accounts, if I go to contacts, same type of thing. I have these list views. And to modify these list views, there's this tool called Advanced Find. So up at the top right here, I can go up to my Advanced Find, and it's not an extremely complex tool. It takes a few minutes to kind of get used to, but once you understand how it works, it's so powerful. You can do a ton of stuff with this. But you can see right now it's saying, okay, because you're on contacts, my active contacts, it's showing contacts, my active contacts. So if I wanted to start with this list view and modify it, I can just do a save as. I'll say my active contacts, and I'm going to add, let's say I want to add the state. So my active contacts by state. Save it. And then I can edit the columns here. So there's a few things I can do. I can add additional columns, move columns around. I can go to the details here and actually change the query. So if I didn't want to just see my active contacts, I could remove this, which is saying the owner equals the current user. That's how it's getting my. But in this case, I'm just going to add another column for state. I'll go into edit columns, say OK here, and we'll come in here and say add columns. And let's hope I can find the state. OK, address 1 state. Here we go. So it's over at the right. If I want to move it to the left, I just highlight it, move it around. If I don't care about the business phone for whatever reason, I can remove that and then say OK. Now, what's nice about this is I can preview the results first. So I can go to results and say, OK, here's the state. That looks like what I wanted to do. Go back to Advanced Find and save that. And so what that does is it creates a new view called My Active Accounts by State. If I do it in this particular way, it shows up under My View. Now I can take one of my views and I can share it with other users. The other way to do it would be I could go to the customization area. So for more of a system admin that wants to add a view for the entire organization, we can set up a view like this under the system area for contacts. And so rather than showing up as my view, it would show up as a system view. But that's basically the process. Any other questions, Abby?
We do have one more question. Will the email integration work with Mac Outlook?
So yes, I'm going to qualify that so that there's a support matrix. Let me, I think I have that pulled up here. Actually, I don't. Let me go to the link where this is. So if someone specifically wants to know the requirements for the app for Outlook, which is what I just showed, that email app for Outlook, they do have a support matrix here. It tells us you must have Outlook 2013, 2016. Down here a little bit, it talks about the different desktop Outlook support matrices. So Outlook for Mac desktop client, you can see that I can do everything that I showed you on received email, view information and track. When I'm composing email, the functionality is not there. appointments and meetings, the functionality is not there, and contacts isn't there. So there's some limitations with Outlook for Mac. If you want all of this functionality, I believe what you can do is you can use the web Outlook interface and you can get to all those apps. But if you have any specific questions around that, I can get you this documentation, or we can do a little deeper digging on that.
Great. Well, Eric, it looks like those are all of our questions. We want to thank everybody for attending today. And another reminder that we're going to have the recording of this webinar up on our website by the end of the day. That's innovia.com. And thanks everybody for coming, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar.
Thank you.